Well, well, well. Guess who's agreed to play OSR again for one shot? My players, or rather the group I play with. We've been playing 5e for quite a while, and you know, I don't mind 5e, but here's my problem. When we have, like, let's say 5 players normally, you enter combat. After my turn, I can literally take a 15-minute break. I can, go have a snack, read the paper, do whatever, have a conversation, come back. It's still not my turn again, because we're higher level characters. I think we're 11th level in the other campaign, and there's a lot 5e characters can do. But anyway, I'll be running. My players don't know this yet. Is a Deep Carbon Observatory. I'm looking forward to that. I'll put that up and do a review once we go through it, but I just wanted to prep my very tiny, minuscule little audience with one of the things I'm doing. And the thing I'm most excited about, and I think my players are too, is we're going to do an ability score draft. This is wild, wacky, and wonderful. Basically, at the beginning of each round, every player rolls a d20 for initiative. The highest goes at the top, and it's like normal initiative. So basically, everybody rolls 46, keep highest 3, like all players, and you generate your list of attributes, right? So from 3 to 18 or whatever. Median 46, keep highest 3, I think is 11 or 12 or something like that. So, but anyway, so the player who won initiative picks first, and they'll probably take the highest score, and they get to put it where they want, right? So if you want to play a fighter and there's a 17 there, great, I'll pop it into strength. Then the second highest initiative goes, and so on and so on. So everybody picks, and then we roll initiative again. So theoretically, the same player could pick first again, but hopefully not, right? So it's kind of a neat way, but you can get a little strategy in this. Like, let's say I was going to play a fighter. I won the initiative, but I've already got that 17 in strength, and a 16 comes up. And I know the player who's second in the initiative wants to play cleric. So do I let the 16 slide and maybe slot like a 10 into intelligence or something like that and let them have the 16 for their wisdom? Or do I just grab the 16 and throw it into my constitution? So it's it'll be interesting. So we're excited about that. I've also created 12 kind of pre-made characters. I haven't named them. I want the players to sort of take over them, but I've given them like specific attribute bonus, special abilities, skills, things like that. So they're basically like a template for a character that sort of fits into this world I'll be running for Deep Carbon Observatory. Now, I should mention I'm using Midgard from Kobold Press as the world setting. It's a great map, basically free using online. But my main reason is if the players want to continue, I really want to run Empire of the Ghouls. We'll see how that goes. But for now, it's a nice little convenient setting for Deep Carbon Observatory. So anyways, I'll get into the basic setting that I'm using. I have 2 main gods. I have Mara, who's basically a death god. And by death, I mean like natural death. Death, rebirth, death is necessary for life. But clerics of Mara abhor the undead. They exist to extinguish undeath from the planes of existence. There's another goddess called Shuni, who's her younger sister. Shuni is the mistress of secrets. The tale goes at the very beginning of time. Shuni was a very inquisitive young goddess and kept pestering her sister about what happens after we die, where do these mortals go when they perish, what happens, because Mara knows such things. So in her frustration, Mara basically committed the first deicide and murdered Shuni with a wave of her hand. So basically, like, if you want to know what lies beyond, then see for yourself. Shuni was dead for a year before the other gods sort of made her, bring her back. And ever since then, Shuni's had the secrets of what lies beyond. So she became like the goddess of secrets. As her punishment, Mara had to basically safeguard her sister for eternity now. So that's why in Donnermark, even though there's a huge church dedicated to Mara, Shuni's worshippers are allowed to exist. They're tolerated. They may not, be happy about it, but they will definitely safeguard them within their cities. So that's the basic religions. There's also, because Deep Carbon Observatory has a god called the Optical God, I've used that particular god as a one of the older deities that's only worshipped in very small little communities now, and Mara permits it because the Optical God is also a enemy of the undead as well, and their clerics have the ability to turn undead. Mara's clerics have the ability to destroy undead. They have something called an Undeath Nova, which they can spend spell slots to, like, basically nuke all undead up to 20 feet around them. So that's, like I said, their purpose in life. They're terrible healers, though. So anyway, we'll see how that's the basic campaign setting. Now I'll get a little bit into these templated characters I've created. So anyway, the characters. I have 3 clerics, 3 fighters, 3 rogues or thieves, and 3 wizards or magic users. So let's start. The Black Rail is a cleric of Mara, who's wise, has a lore skill. He's tough, or she's tough. These are gender-neutral characters. You can either play male, female, or any combination thereof. So the tough basically explains why they have the D8 hit points and not D6 as a normal cleric. And the Black Rail also has stealth from an item. They have a wisdom bonus of +1, and like all higher level clerics of Mara, they have what's called an Undeath Nova, so they can spend a spell slot, and if it's a first level spell, it does D6 to all undead damage within a 20-foot radius. If it's a second, it does 2d6. If it's a third, it does 3d6, so on. And besides that, they have normal spells. So Mara's clerics are basically designed to be undead killing machines, and that's what they are. I also have the Curate, who's a cleric. D6 hit points, wise, lore, turn undead. Now this is a cleric of the Optical God, which is a lesser known deity, mainly in the small little villages. It's rumored to be one of the older gods that are being sort of phased out or replaced by newer gods, but a lot of people still worship the Optical God. And the Optical God is actually in Deep Carbon Observatory. So the Curate has a wisdom of +1, has an ability called Lightbringer, which basically they can make a little floating ball of light appear above their head. It's a non-offensive version of the light spell. I know in 5e this is a cantrip. In OSR, light is usually a first level spell, so this is just something the party can use and they'll always have light. Secrets. Secrets is a cleric of Shuni. D6, so wise, studious, lore mastery, sorry. And the search skill. A search skill is when you're looking for something specific in a room, whether it's a secret door or a trap or something like that, you get a bonus die. So to look for it. They have a wisdom of +1 and an intelligence of +1. Now the weird thing about Shuni is that her clerics don't pray for their spells. They offer up secrets. So if you have knowledge that not many people know about, you can offer it up to the goddess for spells. So it's an interesting role-playing challenge. A secret could be as innocuous as, the Berserker snores, right? Maybe that gets you a first level spell. But if you discover, hidden secrets that have been lost for generations, you can actually get spells above your ability to cast. So basically everybody in this adventure is 5th level. So even though normally that's only a 3rd level spell, technically if the discovery or the arcane bit of knowledge was good enough, they could, easily get 4th or even 5th level spells. So that's what's kind of unique about Clerics of Shuni. Next we get into the fighters. This is the Berserker. Berserker is basically an OSR barbarian, has D10 hit points, strong, tough, bushcraft, and cleave. So they have a strength +1 and their unique skills that they can rage, which is like a 5e barbarian in that they only take half damage from non-magical sources while raging. Cleave is basically if you kill an opponent and there's another one within 5 feet, you can carry over that damage with another successful 2-hit roll. So imagine it with a huge fighter with a mighty axe, slices through one goblin and just continues on to the next. Alright, then we have the Hard-Eyed Miner. This is actually a dwarf with D10 hit points, strong, resilient, tough, dark vision, and also has a weapon skill. Strength +1, Constitution +1, is a dual wielder with hand axes, and has poison resistance, which is like an extra d6 when saving against poison. So typical kind of dwarven fighter. Next up is the Maiden's Knight, fighter, d8 hit points, strong, resilient, good with a longsword, strength +1, Constitution +1, shield bearer. So basically shield bearer, in OSR, shields normally only give you a +1 to your armor class. I've made shield bearer like a unique skill that this particular character actually gets a +2 to their armor class when using a shield. If they sacrifice their movement and are using a shield, they actually get +3. The Maiden's Knight already comes with plate mail as well, which saves you a lot of money. So they're going to have a really good armor class, which is great. Next, we get into the rogues. We have the Assassin of Mara, which is, strangely enough, a tabaxi, one of those cat people things. Rogue, d6 hit points. Live, which is basically dexterity +2. Resilient, Constitution +1. Quick, stealth, sneak attack, dark vision. Has claws, climbs, and natural armor. Now, the kicker about tabaxi is that they can't wear armor. So I know a thief only gets up to leather armor, not a big deal, but pretty strong character right there. The Moth Eater is actually a goblin, who's also a rogue, d6 hit points, agile, resilient, bushcraft, sneak attack, stealth, and dark vision. Has a +1 to their dex and a +1 to their constitution. Musty. Musty is a really cool character, basically a sailor who's a rogue. Agile, bushcraft, charming, fishing, sailor, tough, weapon. +1 to his dexterity, +1 to his charisma. He has luck dice ×5, so that's pretty darn impressive. Basically a d6, 5d6 you can add to your rolls or subtract from your enemy's rolls. He's just basically lucky. What it doesn't show here is Musty's actually in love with a mermaid, so that's why he's called Musty. Then I have the Addict, which is a wizard, only d4 hit points like wizards in Basic and OSR. Brilliant, resilient, alchemy, lore, medicine, intelligence +2, constitution +1, has spells and Devil Dust. Devil Dust is like, it can be used for a lot of things, but mainly it's like a healing dust. But the problem is you need to make a saving throw 4 hours after you use it. And depending on how much dust you use, the harder the spell is. If you fail your save, you basically have to have more dust, or you're under the effect of like a quest spell to search out more dust. So you'll abandon whatever you're doing and just go where you think you can find more dust. So it has a serious drawback, but it can, worst case scenario, it comes in pretty handy. So in my character description, I said potions were the gateway for the addict. So the Avomancer, interesting concept. So the Avomancer is brilliant, wise, has alchemy, lore, and again the search skill, actually a +2 to intelligence, wisdom +1. Temporal dissonance, can actually cast the slow spell, I think 3 times a day or something like that. And that's without expending a spell. That's just what they have. So Avomancy is basically the study of time and manipulate time in this world. Finally, we have the Porter, who's actually a wizard. D6 hit points because of the tough skill. He's smart, resilient, bushcraft, tough animal handling, and again the search. Intelligence +1, Constitution +1. He has unique skill of Mage Hand, can basically cast it at will, which again I know in 5 years a cantrip, and it's the same thing, but also has Phantom Messenger, which is like a sending spell, which you can do, I believe, once per day or so, and that's a freebie as well. So those are the characters the party can pick from. So once they do this ability score draft, it can be kind of interesting because, like, let's say I have a 16 dexterity that I've selected out of the draft, and I'm kind of inching towards a rogue. If I win the initiative for picking characters, I'm going to go for the Assassin of Marla, who has that +2 dex, which will give me the 18, right? So that's why winning initiative, especially when picking characters, can be quite important. Now, everybody's probably going to have their favorite, depending on what you want to play and what what looks the best to you. But it's kind of neat. Now, the thing that the players don't know is that each one of these characters has basically gone to the Church of Shuni looking to find out information, and they're willing to spend a lot or owe a very large favor in the form of a gesh or a quest spell to obtain it. So, for example, Musty, the rogue, who's also a sailor, his mermaid love has disappeared. So he's desperate to find out where his love has gone. She's disappeared from her normal atoll and whatnot. So that's the hook into the adventure. So the Church of Shuni will give him this information, but he must first perform a quest, and that's the quest of what gets them into Deep Carbon Observatory. So there you go. So each one of these characters, once they're selected, I'll let the players know. We'll start at the Church of Shuni. They want a certain quest performed. This is your reward if you do it. For example, the Hard-Eyed Miner, who's a dwarf, actually lost his family to a psychotic dwarf. And he'll do just about anything to find out where the killer of his family is, so he can exact his or her revenge. So that'll be the hook. And that's a case of they might actually give it to him right away, as long as he or she performs this service. And dwarves are usually honorable, so there you go, right? Anyway, I'm looking forward to it. I'll let you know. We're doing the draft pick on Tuesday. we'll see how it goes. And it was an interesting way to sort of do character creation, and I'm kind of excited to get back into OSR where combat doesn't take 15 minutes to reach you again, or longer, right? It's crazy. I want things just to flow, be fast, boom, boom, boom. So, and anyway, I'll update again. We'll see how it goes, and keep playing, everyone, and talk to you later. Bye bye.